Take 22. Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. This was supposed to be a quick one where I showed you guys pulling the plug out of the mold that I made for the air vent. I was also going to pull the EVA foam and plasticine out of the front of the X2 so we could see how the work in the last video went. I ended up getting very busy with my day job and also did some extra stuff to the X2. And then on Sunday I got out for the first ride of the season with BJ on some stand-up skis. Then when I was trying to publish a video for you guys on Sunday, I ended up having an issue with my computer that is now sorted out, but I am still extremely busy and I had to throw this video together as quickly as possible. It turned out a lot longer than I wanted and it might not be the quality that you expect from my videos, but here it is. Let's jump right into it and see if this actually worked out. What I'm going to do is take the grinder and cut these edges down just so that they're not all jagged and sharp. I'm not expecting this to go well. I will be very happy if it does work. But this is my first attempt ever at making a plug and then turning it into a mold. It's my first attempt ever at making a mold, so I kind of feel like it's not going to turn out. Holy crap. Look at that. It's separating. Woohoo. Okay, I'm going to get some big tie wraps. This part's actually working. It might just be releasing from the foam. Man, that's too thick. That's not releasing where it's supposed to, is it? Let's see. Can I see what's going on here? Not yet. I'm just going to break it off. Oh. Yeah, I think my paint stayed behind. Oh, no, it worked. Huh. There's my paint. Holy. Okay, I panicked for nothing. Let's hope it's okay, because I've now broken that flange off of the plug. Probably not the best idea. Even if this doesn't work, it's pretty exciting. I've seen people do this in videos before, but doing it yourself, it's a whole different thing. All right, so far it looks pretty promising. The part that I'm most worried about is around the front here. I might be able to pop it out from the back. Oh my goodness, it's working. Oh my goodness, no way. I gotta make sure the camera's getting. All right, I got some cut off pieces of tie wrap. This seems like it's actually working. I can't believe. I mean, we don't know what the surface is going to turn out like. Oh my God. This is the moment of truth. Whether or not this actually worked. Holy crap. Holy crap. Would you look at that? Oh my God. That is a usable mold. Oh my God. Oh. I probably sound like a complete goof right now, but my first mold. Wow, I am blown away. I'm sure the camera doesn't do it justice, but wow. I'm still giddy from this working. I went and showed Megan. I think this, oh yeah, that's the PVA there kind of peeling up. I was wondering what the discoloration was here. And it's, yeah, it's just the PVA kind of peeled up just a little bit through this area. Oh, that's pretty cool. So what you're supposed to do is just wash the PVA off. And that's probably what I'll do with most of it, but it looks like some of it's actually going to peel up. I'm guessing I probably put it on a little too thick if it's able to do this. Oh wow, there's my mold. Holy crap. That is pretty exciting. Wow. I know I didn't explain this very well, and there's probably some of you that didn't really understand what I was doing. Not a lot of people are into fiberglass stuff, so hopefully you guys can understand what I'm doing now. Basically, this is a mold, and what I can do is I can lay fiberglass or carbon fiber inside of this now, and what I will be left with is air intakes. I am going to wet sand this and polish it so that it's a complete shiny surface. That will give me a better finish on the parts that I make with it, but I'll probably do most of that off camera. I guess the next thing we need to do is flip the X2 over and see if it worked out as well as this did. I'm guessing it's going to be a little trickier because there's EVA foam and epoxy, and then there's also the clay or the plasticine, so it's going to be a little trickier probably. It turns out that the PVA that I sprayed on here is working so well, I'm actually kind of afraid that this is going to pop off from the outside. I think that there's enough holding it in place, but I'm going to start removing stuff from the inside now, so I'm going to have to flip it over and start removing stuff from the inside. If it doesn't go well, I might have to put some fiberglass on the outside or epoxy it on from the outside just to make sure that this piece doesn't actually pop out. Okay, so I've got a bunch of hot glue in here holding everything on from the inside. So now what I need to do is start peeling that stuff off and see what happens. Just let me fall to my groove. Just let me fall to my I'm not completely done here, obviously. I need to do a lot more cleanup work, and then I need to do a bunch of sanding and then more cleaning before I can actually lay fiberglass. But hopefully you guys can see what is happening here, or what is going to happen here. So the reason why I made the fiberglass mold on the outside is because now the fiberglass that I fill will actually sit even with the fiberglass that is already existing. So instead of having a hump on the inside, this is going to sit level and just fill in nicely. As you guys can see, I did a little bit of cleanup work. It turns out this stuff cleans up pretty easily with a scrub brush and soap and water. So this was the guide that I put the EVA foam on. So I built this piece as a template or as a guide, and then I attached the EVA foam to the back side of this and inside of the hull. The next step is going to be figuring out how to get this piece out of here. It turns out this was a whole lot easier than I thought it would be. I just used the Dremel to cut a way around where I had the template in. I still don't have it all the way out. I'm still not in the clear. If I'm not careful, I could make a mistake and pop the whole mold off the front. So, okay, I'm gonna give a little bit of a pry. Give a little bit of a pry on it and see if it comes off. There we go. Huh. There we have it. That worked out a whole lot better than I thought it would. Seems to be a theme with this project. I've decided to widen out the slot through the front so that I can put the bottom side of the bond line on, connect to the bow eye, and run through the hull and attach to this piece. So it looks like it's gonna work. I was kind of afraid that it was going to be way more difficult to do it this way, but I don't think it's going to be any harder. Maybe a little bit harder, but I'm going to have some cosmetic work to do on the outside of this when it's all fiberglassed into place, but I'm not terribly concerned about that. So this is the vacuum that goes on the back of the sandblasting cabinet, which is actually pretty slick. It goes on here and it sucks air directly out of the cabinet through a baffle there. I decided to clean out the filter. I've had about 3 hours of use on it. I vacuumed it out first, the whole thing all the way around, and then I started just tapping it on the floor. This is what I tapped out of the filter after vacuuming it out. I didn't want to run the compressor anymore, so I decided to do some sanding, and I touched up this area. I had put a little extra epoxy on there, and also I had filled in a little bit here and here. I touched that up, and I also sanded that down. It needs a little bit of extra filler on it. So yeah, it's very slowly but surely coming together. Oh, I've got some patches here that I haven't even pulled the plastic off of. That's fun. That never gets old for me. It's so nice how the plastic peels off. This was some of the black epoxy that I used for doing the mold. It's the next day and I just spent a little bit of time wet sanding and putting some rubbing compound on this mold. Turned out pretty good. It's not perfect, but I'm definitely going to use it just to get some practice at laying stuff in molds. If this mold ends up working out and I can make a part successfully out of fiberglass, I might touch up along this edge and also along where my thumb is. There's a little bit of wrinkling going on there because of the way I had it glued to the flange there as well. So I've decided to taper in the edges on the left and right. So I'm tapering it in here and here. And what I'm going to actually do is just lay it even with the bottom and then up over the top and through the front. And then when I put my floor layers on, I will go up and cover the whole thing. I've got 2 layers of mold release wax on the mold, and I'm about to try to make a template for the first pieces of fiberglass mat. I've decided to do this in 3 pieces because it just doesn't want to fit to the contours. So there's going to be this one piece that goes through like this. I will show you guys from the outside in a minute. So there's going to be this piece, and then I'm going to make pieces that go in the corners as well. On the outside, the piece is going to come up, go along the bow eye or the bond line, and then along the front here. You can see it's already built up quite thick through here, but it's thin here and here. So what I'm going to do is cut out just a few strips of fiberglass to go in these areas so that when I lay this down, it sits all nice and flush. I now have a template cut out for here. It fits in there like, no, it doesn't. It fits in there like that. And to put it on the other side, I just need to reverse it and put it like this. So I can just make twice as many of these and swap sides. This is my 3rd coat. I have 2 more coats to go after this. I'm going to leave this sit for about 20 minutes or half an hour before applying the next coat of wax. And in the meantime, I can take you guys over here and show you the pieces that I have cut out. So I've got 3 of these cut out, and I've got 6 of these cut out, 3 for each side, and then the pieces that go in across the front. I did a little bit of sanding by hand. I've got this part smoothened out as well as I'm going to get it. I've just wiped it down with some water just to clean off the dust and stuff. And now I'm going to use some of this turtle wax rubbing compound and my sander with a buffing pad on it. Basically, I just want to do a little bit of buffing to get some of the heavier scratches out. Just in case I wasn't clear, this isn't the proper way to do this. If you wanted to do this properly, if you're actually building a mold, you'd want to wet sand this first and get it quite smooth before you buffed it. Next up, I'm going to be putting the mold release wax on the front piece here. This feels really weird to be doing this. It goes against everything I've ever learned about fiberglass. You're supposed to keep it clean and keep oil, like oily skin and stuff, away from it. And yeah, so this just feels very unnatural and weird to be doing. But yeah, I actually have a proper wax and grease remover, and I'm going to be using a ton of that around this area once this is done. Right now, what we got to do is make sure that nothing sticks to this. So, mold release wax going on. Try to keep it off of the actual fiberglass stuff, but I'm sure I'm going to get some on it. Alright, so now I leave that about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to haze over. I wipe it off. Wait a little while for it to cure, and then I apply another coat, and then I keep doing that for 5 coats. Speaking of which, I need to go put another coat of this on the mold that I made, so I'm going to go do that now. The reason why the red line is there is because this part is in through the hull. So I want to laminate this all together, slide it in through, and then stick the first layer down, put my side layers in, second layer, side layers, third layer. This stuff does not mess around. That was not very long at all. All right, time to mix up another batch. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of talking because I gotta concentrate, or I'll do a whole lot of talking and it won't make any sense, so I'll just edit it out. I thought maybe some would squeeze out, but no, this chop strand is pretty hefty stuff. It's absorbing every bit of it. I'm gonna make sure this has an overabundance of epoxy, so when I stick it onto the hull, the bottom side of the bond line, it doesn't have any issues with sticking or being dry. Let's get a little bit on this side as well. All right. So that's basically in place there. So what I need to do now is separate this first layer and try to stick it down and hold this layer up out of the way. Just hold this up out of the way. Right, I've got another batch of fresh epoxy mixed up. Hopefully it wets out a little better with this stuff. Like it's super thick already. I don't know how long that's been, but it wasn't 15 minutes. Yep. I should be running time lapse on this because it's going to use a whole bunch of memory. And I'm just going to speed it up anyway because I'm not saying anything intelligent. Alright, so this is going to all have to be seeded after the fact anyway, so I'm not going to spend too much time seating it now. Before I start filming and before I start doing this, I think, oh, I'm going to keep track of how much I used and whatever, and then I can figure out, you know, the actual weight of the materials and whatever, and then I start into it and it's just like everything I can do just to get it done. After this, the last layer that Megan's holding goes on, and then, yeah, it should be fairly straightforward from there. Okay, put it down. Oh boy, I have to start from the top. Almost took too long. It's starting to stiffen up. Alright. At the very most, I'm 7 minutes in, and this pot life has expired. This epoxy is no longer adequate for laminating. I forgot that I wanted to add these pieces to the front, and I want to do it now so that I get a chemical bond, so I gotta try to whip another batch up real quick. Alright YouTube, I hope I did an okay job of capturing the footage in this video. I know it probably doesn't seem like it, but this is a huge step in this project. Making the piece for the front fill and filling in that front section is definitely a huge step, because that means that now I can basically lay the floor in. The next step now is going to be, I guess I can remove the front section just to kind of get an idea of what's going on there. But the next step in building this is going to be actually filling in the floor now and doing all of the reinforcements. So I'm going to put 2 more layers on the floor that go up through the nose area. So it's going to tie it all together. This is going to be extremely strong. I'm also going to run a couple of layers over the sides here just to make sure that it's plenty strong, because I did make some big cutouts for the exhaust holes. A few update videos back, I showed you guys the cutouts that I made for the floor. So I already have the fiberglass cutout, some woven roving, and some chop strand mat that I've got cut out for the floor. That's already done. When I put the floor in and do around these areas, I'll put these patches in just to kind of tie everything all together. But I'm not going to bother doing that now. That is going to do it for this one. It is Saturday evening. Let's see what time it is. 10:45, so I've got to go edit this video. In the next video, you guys are going to see me pulling that front piece off, so stay tuned for that. It is now Tuesday, and I still haven't had time to pull this off of the front of the ski, but I can tell by looking at the inside of the hull that I did end up with some air pockets. If I were to do this again, I would definitely do some things different, so don't use this as a how-to. This is definitely not the best quality work that I've ever done, but it probably compares to the quality of this video. I apologize for that. I did have to rush quite a bit to get this video out. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.